Hello Mimi makers! Today I want to show off these beautiful needles. They are called the Addi Sock Wonder and they are a type of mini circular needle. So keep on watching if you want to know more about these. The Addi Sock Wonder is a little bit different than your usual circular needle. Number one, they're really short. They are a total of 25 centimeters long. And they have two sizes of tips, so there's a shorter tip and a longer tip. The reason is that these are specifically made for sock knitting. With sock knitting, you're really limited by the size of the circle in circumference that you can make because of the stitches that you have to cast on for a sock. Your right hand needle is a little bit longer and fits really nicely into your palm. You can see it almost has the width of my palm, so I have lots of needle to hold on to, and you can also switch it for left-handed use. And then the other side, the shorter needle, you really just hold on to slip off your stitches, so you don't need as much to grab onto. You will also be able to see a difference in the tip of these needles because the longer needle will have a pointier lace tip, which makes it easier to pick up your stitches, and the shorter needle has a slightly rounded tip, which makes it easier for the stitches to glide off. So now let's start knitting. For my socks, I do often use 4-ply yarns. These are just a couple that we have in the shop that you can try. The Seta is a silk blend 4-ply yarn, and the Cool Wool for socks is one that is made with a merino, and there's many others to choose from. I am going to choose my favorite color today, which is pink. And we're going to try a nice cast on that works really well for these needles. So for these needles, I do like to do a knitted cast on, and the way I'm going to show you today is also very elastic, so that the cuff of your sock will stay nice and elastic, so you can it's easy to slip on. So for this, you're going to leave about 20 to 30 centimeters of yarn to do the cast on. I like to do my first stitch as if I were doing my long tail cast on, even though I do not have a long tail. And you're going to be using the shorter needle to cast on your first stitch. For this, you can also do a twisted German or just tying a knot so that you have one stitch on the short needle. Now we're going to set ourselves up so that we have the long needle in our knitting hand. So for right-handed knitters, that would be your right hand, and for left-handed knitters, it would be the other way around. So now I have one stitch on the needle here, and I am going to start knitting more stitches for this. And the first one is the trickiest one because this stitch moves around a little bit, so you might have to hold this bottom tail a little bit. So you're going to enter this first stitch knitwise, and you're going to wrap your yarn around, and then you have another stitch on your right-handed needle. So now I'm going to slip the stitch to the other needle, but instead of just slipping it over, I'm going to turn it and slip it turned onto this needle. So I said the first one's a little bit tricky, but once this all stays put in place, after a second stitch this gets easier. So I'm going to show you again a little bit slower. Gonna wrap it around, and then we're going to slip the stitch onto the short needle. Let's do that again. Enter knitwise, wrap it around, and slip this stitch over here. Knitwise, and slip it over. Knitwise, turn, and slip it over. This will create a really nice and elastic cast on. Now for my sock, I am going to need 60 stitches. I do knit a size 38 or size 7.5 for myself, which for the 4-ply yarn I will need 60 stitches. It's important that you don't pull these stitches too tight, or you might have trouble closing your round and starting to knit your first round. So definitely try and relax and put these on pretty loosely. Now that I have all my stitches, I like to close my stitches to the round before I start knitting. In order to do that, I will switch the first and last stitch on the needles so they're nice and neat in place, and I will use a little stitch marker to help me do that so I don't lose any stitches. I've now flipped my first and last stitch, essentially interlocking the last two, and now we can start knitting. I am going to do a 2x2 rib to get started. Now you're all set to knit your sock. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment and don't forget to subscribe for more video from me. Bye!